Hello friends, welcome to Coder Thoughts. Today I was thinking about talking with you guys about different programming languages and different domains they are really good at. I would also like to talk about the pros and cons of certain programming languages and why I prefer them in those domains as opposed to some other domains. This video would be just a guess of these programming languages thing. So hit the subscribe button to get more info, and also comment down which programming languages do you use for your domain, and if you feel like it's the best thing, yeah, just comment it down so that it's more engaging. And let's start with the content. So first one which I would like to talk about is Python. So Python, a lot of people can use it, especially beginners. If you want to learn a programming language, you just want to start it, Python is the one to go because it is more readable and it is more simpler if you are a beginner. Then Python is also used by data science and machine learning engineers. Now Python is very good at making prototypes, and it is like really fast, right? It's very fast to write some code in Python and create a prototype. And machine learning and the data science engineers need just that, because they have to try out different statistics. Like for data science, it's like they have to try out different statistics metrics, then they see the graphs, then they try to figure out their things. And Python is really fast for that, right? So you just develop it, and then everything is like smooth. You don't have to waste like weeks and weeks of your time to achieve a particular task, and then be like, okay, this does not work. My Also, it is there are data science engineers who do not have a programming background, like my younger brother, and they find Python quite easy as it is beginner friendly language. So I guess this is best for these domains. Python is also used by some backend engineers, and Python has a really good Django framework, and it also has a lightweight version, which is the Flask framework. Um, but I guess you should use it as your backend only if you're a startup and want to, put forward your particular solution faster than the competition. But in the long run, Python takes a lot of CPU and memory, and that is one of the reasons why I do not prefer it for backend programming. And also, it is an interpreted language, so even though there are some PyPy or some things like that with which you can increase the performance, but I guess at the end it's interpreted, so it's going to be really low on the performance metrics. It's still a good one if you just want to create a cron job with Python, but or maybe some automations. uh, but I wouldn't recommend it for the backend development for the long run. For the short run, of course. uh, then we have second, which is Golang language. And this is the language which I would recommend you for backend development. And the reason for that is like Golang is really scalable. It is a compile language. You can just write once and compile it for all the architectures and all the operating systems. You don't have to worry about anything, and it's handles it has this runtime which handles the concurrent routines, what they call it, really well. So Golang has this Go routines, which are basically just if you are a node if you are a Node.js programmer, it's just like they all run asynchronously, but Golang runtime is smart enough to separate out a particular a task just based on what it feels like. Okay, this task might require a new thread, and its algorithm is really good in regards to that. Kudos to the Google developers. That Yeah, you can definitely see a performance improvement in your backend infrastructure if you're coming from Python, Java, or anything like that. uh, yeah, so I started with Golang, I guess a long time ago, and ever since I just started to learn it, it also has some really great tools which help me pinpoint the bottleneck of my code. Like, okay, this is the line of the code where the performance is getting a hit. So if you want to optimize your servers to the full, Golang is the best language to do that. You will get all the tools to pinpoint your bottlenecks. Uh, it's on the performance side. I would compare it to like C++. But because C++ does not have those cool tools, sometimes it is better to develop in Golang because the performance will be much better. Not that the C++ could be better. I mean, C++ could have a better performance, but for that you have to analyze it yourself and you have to do a lot of things, whereas the Go tools make it quite easier to do. And so even though they might not reach the performance of C++, sometimes they outpace the performance of C++ just because the developers could not figure out the bottlenecks in the C++ application. um, yeah, so that is how Golang is my favorite for backend development. Then there is Rust language, which is made by Mozilla, which again I like it for its performance, and I also like it for one more reason, that it has like so much of strict rules that it does not allow the data to basically just flow in a particular way that would cause a memory leak, something which was an issue with C and C++. Like people might accidentally leak memories and then try to debug, oh, where is the memory leaking. But Rust, because of its strict compilation rules, have managed to fix that. I am still in the learning phase of Rust, so I would like to know from Rust developers as to if there are any issues which they face while developing with Rust, apart from the annoying compiler error messages, which as I said before, I like it. But yeah, I would recommend you should develop in Rust if you're creating an operating system or something like that, because at the end I feel that when you're developing a backend, yes, performance is important, but I guess Golang does fairly competitive performance as compared to when you're developing in the backend, and everything should be in a particular performance range. I guess Golang is enough for that. You don't need Rust. If you are developing in Rust for backend, go ahead. I mean, it would be the most best backend infrastructure. But yeah, the development cycles would be much slower, which is kind of an issue if it is a startup for sure. Whereas at the end you can always use it. Then next I would like to talk about TypeScript. TypeScript is basically um uh, the version of JavaScript which is typed. So JavaScript is not a typed language, right? So you need just it's just like Python. You can just have any properties and it would work. Now, one of the issue which I used to face while developing in Python or in JavaScript was like I used to sometimes have a typo and then it would still be there. And I even at the start I used to, oh okay, everything works. And the thing was like, the code logic used to never reach to that particular point. And when it used to reach at that particular point by someone else, and then it used to break because uh, it is like, oh, this property is not defined. Oh yeah. So yeah, so it had these things. So TypeScript tried to solve it, and I guess they really came ahead of it. And that's why Angular and React, even Electron, has started using TypeScript, which is quite interesting and which is also quite good. um, Also, yeah, TypeScript is used for backend, and it was one of my favorite at the start, especially like it was my favorite because at that time when I learned it, it was mostly like Java infrastructure, and Java had these limitations of scalability because in Java every request used to create a thread, and TypeScript just gave it to a different level. Like, it did not create a thread every time, and it has this asynchronous task. So it was more and more scalable as compared to Java, so I naturally liked it. Now that throne has been taken over by Golang, and probably when if you watch this video after like 5 years, I don't know, maybe there will be a new programming language that will have taken the throne. uh, but yeah, it's still fairly good language to be a backend one. I think it's still being used by a lot of companies, and it's really good that they use it. But if I would start a new service from scratch, I would probably use Golang. Okay, next I would like to talk about the old and maybe gold Java. Yeah, so Java used to have a boom generation. Like there was a time when there were a lot of jobs for Java. I guess there are fairly enough even now, but what I use Java for was, which I liked, was like for Android programming. Of course, now Android programming is also done in different Java languages, like I don't know, Scala and things like that. But uh, I did not learn those languages. I was like, okay, I know Java, so ultimately I can still work with people who are using Scala or something like that. So I did not learn it. I was too lazy for that. But I was, at the same time, I like the simplicity of Java in that sense. It was quite simple and easy to understand as compared to, I don't know, Scala. I just tried Scala for one day. I was like, maybe it's because of my Java bias that I was like, why it's so much. But yeah, at the end, I guess if you prefer something which is like a sister of Java, like Scala or something like that, it's still in that range that I would prefer it for Android development. For cross-platform application development, also I would prefer Java. But I think I would also prefer Golang now that I prefer compiled languages, and Java is like semi-compiled kind of thing. So yeah, but it is still a great language. Then yeah, most of it, yeah. Now let's talk about C sharp. Uh, I don't know, like in my college days, I used to develop a lot of desktop applications, and most of, like, every application I developed was in C sharp. I really like the concept of the event-driven programming, which the C sharp brought, and yeah, it was really fun while developing with C sharp. I could literally break down a lot of things in such a way that it just made sense, at least to me. Uh, but again, it comes in the Java phase. Just like Java, I prefer it for Android development. I prefer C Sharp just for Windows application development. Even though it is cross-platform, you can develop for Android, iOS, Windows, and Linux, and also macOS. But I would still just prefer it for Windows as of now. uh, I don't know, maybe if you are developing in C sharp in your day-to-day basis, comment down below if you have any experience with cross-platform development with C sharp and it was really good or it was really bad or you face some issues. Please comment down so that I can also update myself. Yeah, that was about C sharp, and I guess these are all the languages which I know and I can talk about. But obviously feel free to subscribe so that you can get more videos, and I would talk about some other topics. You can also comment down on topics which you want to listen to, and we can get a common ground for that as well. Ciao.